This particular podcast is going to look at how to use different types of technology for checking student comprehension during lessons. And we'll look at two in particular. The first being the Beyond Question student clickers, which uses a software program and a set of student clickers. One of the reasons I use this software program is there are grants in existence that allow you to purchase these for as little as $400 for classroom sets. The second one is Poll Everyone, which is a free texting cell phone based student response system. So I'm going to close this particular PowerPoint and move into the software for Beyond Question, and we'll talk about that. So first thing is I'll open up the Beyond Question software. So when it opens, you have this main frame here. And one of the first things that you want to do is create a roster for your class. And so I created one in advance here to kind of show you how it works. On the right, you have the ability to put student names, student IDs. The key pieces that you need for this are the student's name and what remote they're assigned. That way you ensure you can track whose response comes from whom. And so we have a class roster in there. Second thing that you need to do is set up a lesson. And so for this lesson, what you can do is develop a PowerPoint that has specific questions in it. And so let's say you want to develop a PowerPoint, you've developed a PowerPoint and you've got some questions in that PowerPoint. What you would do is upload that PowerPoint. So for example, here I click on one that I developed for badminton. I open that, and what it does is it brings into the software all of the information that are on those slides. In those slides somewhere I have a question. So notice here it has a question. What I want to do for the software to realize that this is a question is I indicate, is this an A, B, C, D multiple choice question? And what's the answer? So in that question, let's say on slide 2, the question on this one is B. And I would go through and save all those for the question slides. Those that don't have a question, notice are said direction, and so the software reads it as just information. So I've pre-done this in advance, and so I'm going to go ahead and pull one that I've set up in advance to show you how it works here. And so I have a PowerPoint. I've gone through and made those corrections where I've set up my answers. Now I'm going to go ahead and launch it so that you can see what it looks like when you teach it in class. So what you do is you select remotes. Also, you've got your sensor and your remotes plugged in at this stage. So this is a high school badminton content quiz, and so in this one I'm giving the students a quiz over badminton at the end of a lesson perhaps that I've taught on badminton. So notice here's the question pops up on screen asking students which shaded area of the court shows the correct boundary lines. Also notice across the bottom of the screen are indicated the numbers of the 10 students that are listed for them to be able to respond. Basically, students then click giving their particular answers. I'm going to click Accept Answers. Notice there that person 2 responded. It highlights in green. I've got 2 remotes out here, so we'll do person 1 and person 2. Let's say person 3. I'll go ahead and pull out a third remote just to kind of show that. Let's say person 3 said D. And I can watch the bottom of the screen until I have all students' responses. So notice in that then I've got a correct answer, so I discuss those. Let's go to a second question, because in this one there's several questions. I want to accept answers again. Let's say this student answered B, this student answered D. Well, you don't see what their answers are. But these 3 students answered the question. So let's say then I discussed that question, and let's see what we got response-wise. So notice here, when I go back to the software after exiting the PowerPoint, I've got 3 responses listed here. I can go to each student and I can see how they did. Like for example, on question 2, 2 students got it correct, 1 student didn't get it correct. On question 4, slide 4, here is C and here's D. So it lists every single slide, but you look at the ones you have questions. It'll also create graphs to show you how many students got things correct or not on the distribution and how many answered what in this. So notice it gives me how many students answered each question on that question. On the first question, it shows me how many answered B and how many answered D, so I can look at student responses on each question with this as well. So fairly simple software to use once you build your particular questions into your PowerPoint. So we're going to close that now, and we're going to look at using a student response system via your cell phone. PollEveryone.com allows you to set up a free account where you can establish a series of poll questions. And so I've got a few listed in here that I've had from different types of things, and so I'm going to stop this one. So here's one that's a question on badminton. So you go in and you create this question on their site. I would type in the question, type in my potential responses. I can add or subtract by using the X to delete them, or add an option to take them. I indicate how many times they can respond, which we would prefer to one. I'm going to save that poll. Since I've used this poll before, once you use this poll the first time, I'm going to clear results here because I want to start this one over. So I would clear results of that poll. That way no one's answered at this time. Then what I'm going to click on is download as a slide. So notice here it downloads that PowerPoint. I'll go ahead and open it up. And here's what you get when you download. You get a series of introductory slides that explains how to go through and set everything up. You can go through then and select, say if you want to take these off. What I would do the first time you use that is to leave that direction slide on there. And then you can actually put this into whatever PowerPoint you're teaching. So let's say I took that badminton quiz earlier that we were going through, and I have copied those two slides into it, which I've done in advance here. So I put those two slides in there. We'll get past the ones. These were programmed for the student response systems. So notice, let me back that up. Notice here's that introductory slide I pasted in. And then this is what the students see. And so the question comes up, and they're able to text their responses. And so I'm going to use my phone to text a response in so you can see how this works. Let me go to the site first and start that poll. So I want to start this. Click Start. So notice I started the poll. So let's go back here. And we will go to Slideshow. So the poll comes up now. Right? And so there's my, so I'm starting and I'm going to text from my phone. So what I do is I enter this particular code here, which is the 37607. And the message I'm going to enter, I'm going to say that the answer to this question is B, 465928. And I hit send on my cell phone, and I'll wait here for the response to come through. And then you see my response shows up. And as other students respond, it continues to build this. And so this you can use because it's live and it shows on screen bars of how many students answered what questions. The disadvantage of this, and so we'll go back to the website now so you can see what you see on the Poll Everyone end. So let's go back to my polls. I want to look at the responses from this poll. And so we've got, here's the one here that I responded. We show here how many took the poll. Notice the disadvantage is I can't identify who this was. So I can't identify it was my cell phone or whose cell phone that was. And so that's one of the disadvantages of this program, is it does not capture those cell phones. Sorry about that. does not capture those cell phone responses. But it can be good for like popularity things, advantages, disadvantages, and some of that. So that's basically the two methods that you can use for having students do some type of checks for comprehension during your physical education classes.